Alright, on today's vlog, I want to give another teacher quick tip to all of you from me. Last week's tip about using your phone and the app called Seesaw has blown up, and I can't thank you all enough for helping share that and tagging your friends and watching it and doing whatever you're doing because it's gotten tons of views. So thank you so much for doing that. Seesaw is going amazing. So if you haven't checked that out yet, do it. Go check out that app. Today's teacher quick tip, though, has to do with your students. Talking about your students, I want to focus on today classroom management and behavior. What I want to talk about is getting rid of your behavior chart. I know that seems crazy and maybe scary, and some of you are going to pull your hair out over that and say, how can I function without my behavior chart? I use it every day. Well, I want you to put yourselves in the kids' shoes. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've used a behavior chart every year for the last 11 years that I've been teaching kindergarten. I've used it every day of every year for the last 11 years that I've been teaching kindergarten. It always hangs on a wall in my classroom. It always hangs where it's visible to all the students. And that is where I came up with the idea of taking it down. So we're going to call this vlog Ditch Your Behavior Chart, and I'm going to talk about the reasons why. My behavior chart, and I've talked about this before, but my behavior chart looked... Let me grab it because I took it down. This was my behavior chart. Started with a green, and I themed it up Seuss because that's what my whole room is themed. So every day my kids had a clip on this behavior chart that started on green. Now, depending on their behavior throughout the day, they could either move up the chart for doing things extraordinarily well or going above and beyond what I expect, or they could move down the chart for inappropriate or negative behaviors. This worked out very, very well because the kids responded to it. But I ditched that last week, and here are my reasons why. First of all, part of me as a teacher that I forgot to do every day was move these clips back to green. And my kids know that we always start on green. Number two, anytime these kids moved up, it was awesome for them. They loved it, and I loved seeing them celebrate that. But it was very short-lived because certain students, and this doesn't go for all students, but certain students would move up that chart, and then I'd have to move them back down because they thought it was just a one-time thing. Hey, I did great. Now I can do things not so great. And I didn't want that feeling within them. Other kids moved down the chart quite a bit, and we all have those students. Some students, that affects, and they only do it once. A few students, doesn't mean anything to them. And I even had a student who was a great little boy and a very good family friend of mine say to me, I don't care if I'm on yellow, it doesn't really matter to me. And then I was like, what? What do you mean it doesn't matter to you? So that was just a few reasons why I decided to ditch this chart. Now, the other reason, I am one who, I love positive reinforcement. I understand that there needs to be consequences for kids. The kids understand that they need consequences. We all know that as a parent and as a teacher, I understand that. The thing I did not like about this that started to develop in my classroom was the peer, I don't know if evaluations is the right word, but the peer thoughts that the other kids had about students who were moving up or down this chart. Kids would move up. The other kids, instead of celebrating that, would wonder why they weren't moving up. Now, as a teacher, we know with 18 kids or more in our classroom, it's hard to catch everybody doing those extraordinary things all the time. So I'm not going to lie, I probably missed some here and there that probably should have moved their clips up. The reverse side of that, there were kids who moved down, and the kids who were on green or above then focused all their attention on the kids who were moving down. And I constantly heard, oh my gosh, somebody's on yellow. Who's on yellow, Mr. Peterson? Why are they on yellow, Mr. Peterson? What did they do to get on yellow, Mr. Peterson? Why did they move down to red, Mr. Peterson? And I got so sick of hearing about that. I was tired of seeing the kids focus their attention more on other people's behaviors than their own. And those are the reasons right there that I decided to ditch this behavior chart. Now, what am I doing instead? Well, there's this wonderful, wonderful, amazing little tool called email. And I have emails for all my parents. I have an email list for my whole class that I can send a whole general email out to, which I'm sure everybody does. And then I have all my individual email addresses for all my students. Now, I know I'm lucky with that this year. Sometimes I'll have years where a parent doesn't share any email with me, or I can't rely on a parent to check an email. This year, my parents in my classroom are awesome about checking that. So the kids and I talked, and we said, you know what, we're going to take down the chart. We're going to take down your clips. We don't really need to use that anymore. And luckily with this class, I can get away with that because I've got a great group of kids to do this, but I think it would work with any class. And I reminded them that I have constant communication through email, through text using Remind, or text with parents who shared numbers, and phone calls with the phone in my classroom. So I constantly remind my kids, hey, you know what, you're doing great things. I'm going to shoot your mom or dad an email. Or, you need to fix your mistakes today. Things haven't been going the best. I'm going to send an email to your mom and dad and let them know, or make a phone call. Now, what did that eliminate? It eliminated that public humiliation of those kids who did not want the other ones to know that their clip was down. Now, I agree that sometimes it's okay for students to know that somebody else is doing something wrong. Some students, that is going to fix that mistake right away. If they see that their friends are looking down at them for doing something wrong, some students are never going to do that behavior again. But some students really, really, really take that the hard way, and I want to eliminate that within my classroom. So I am daily sending out emails to parents, good or bad, making phone calls if I need to, sending texts through Remind and things like that. But the good thing about having, and again, this is the group that I have this year, the class that I have and the email communication that I have, is I can just shoot a quick email to all my parents and say, hey, great day today, everyone was on their best behavior, give them an extra hug at home tonight for me. The other thing I can do is I can send an email and say, hey, you know what, so-and-so was kind of rough today, we needed to talk about this, please review that at home tonight. So I have found this to be very, very, very beneficial. I think ditching the behavior chart has been a positive thing for my students. They seem to handle it really well, and our behavior has been pretty good overall. So today I started taking down the chart like you saw, and then I went through all of their folders. And what we do in my classroom is I used to, and I've talked about this before, I used to keep a calendar in the front of their take-home folder. We have a clear sleeve in the front of our folders that had all of the dates, and I would have them color green, yellow, orange, blue, red, whatever their clip was on for the day. I would have them handle that, and then if it was yellow or red, I would go then write what that behavior was. Now, if it was a serious behavior, I would also send an email home or make a phone call. So what we did today is we took out all of those papers. I went through and I took every single paper out of the front of their folder and we flipped them over. We sat down and we watched one of my favorite videos to show the kids, Kid President's Pep Talk. And my kids love that video. I love that video. The motivational message behind that is awesome. And he uses that word a lot, awesome. He says something, I'm paraphrasing here, in that video about find a way to make today awesome, or create something that will make the world awesome. So on the back of that paper, we flipped it over and we wrote, I will make today awesome. And then I let the kids decorate those. And they were coloring with markers and crayons and adding, smiley faces and pictures and all kinds of stuff. And then instead of putting their behaviors in the front of their folder for them to see first thing every morning, now when they get that folder out and they show it to me first thing in the morning so I can check inside, right there in front of them is that constant reminder that they can make today awesome. And I love that. I love that positive reminder, and they seem to enjoy it as well. Now, if you have a behavior chart in your classroom, I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not saying you need to go change that right away. All I'm doing is offering some advice and really get you to rethink what that behavior chart is doing. So many times in education, a conversation can mean much more to a child than that simple little clip or that piece of paper. And I think with the busyness of education nowadays and the way things have changed, we forget that it's okay to take time and have those conversations. So getting rid of that chart and ditching this behavior chart has allowed me to explain the consequences of the kids. It's not just me going and moving that yellow or that clip down to yellow and saying, okay, you owe me 5 minutes of recess for talking. What I'm doing now is if they're doing something wrong, I will give them a reminder. And then when recess or whatever activity is they have to sit a little bit out of, or if there's a time that we just need to talk, I'll pull them over and we'll talk and say, you know what, this is why we had to talk earlier. this is what you're doing wrong, this is what we need to do better. You're gonna have to owe me 5 minutes at recess for that behavior, but then we're gonna move on. I'm still using consequences, I'm still using communication with parents. I'm just trying to do this in a much more positive manner, and so far it's working for me. So that is just a quick idea, tip, trick that is working in my classroom. Maybe it will work in yours. Now, if you have other ideas of way to ditch a behavior chart or things that you've done to get rid of your behavior chart in your classroom that is working, please comment below, send me a message, let me know, and share and tag all your friends in this video. Let them know that getting rid of your behavior chart can be done in a classroom and does not have to be a negative thing. It really can have a positive impact on your students, all the while still maintaining the behaviors that you expect in your classroom. Okay, did you guys all see my new shirt today? My good friend Augie, who made that wonderful data shirt that I wore on an episode a while back, just made me this shirt for fun and gave it to me as a gift. I love her to death. She's making stuff like this for teachers and groups and anybody that wants to. She does an awesome job with it, but she made me this shirt, Teacher, the hardest job you'll ever love, because she knows how much I love what I do. If you like this shirt and you want to get one of these, send me a message on Facebook and I will put you in touch with Augie to figure out how you can get yourself one of these shirts. So that is it for me today. If you think you would like to try to transition from a behavior chart into a more communication-based behavior system, comment below and we can chat some more about it. But it really is working out for me, and I hope that it will work out for you as well.